warm touch to tuck you in. She'll kiss your bruises, your bumps and scrapes. Anytime you hurt, her heart will break. Say, hush little baby, don't you cry. There's someone down there whose only golden line is making sure you're always gonna be alright. A loving angel, tender, tough and strong. It's almost time to go and meet your mom. And when she's talking to you, better make sure you listen close. She's gonna teach you everything you're ever gonna need to know. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. Someone waiting for you, the only golden line is making sure you're always gonna be alright. A loving angel, tender, tough and strong. Come on, child, it's time to meet your mom.
I actually asked for that song because I thought that's a great song, and it's an honoring song, and in our world, it's a good thing when a mom makes the right choice to carry a baby in our world. And so it's just awesome. It's a great message. You know, I want to encourage moms today. You know, that's why Mother's Day exists at all, is so that we can be some kind of encouragement. And I do want to be great encouragement, because without encouragement, really, you die a little bit. You die angrily and slowly and emotionally and every other way. You just kind of drift away when there's no encouragement. And we got I know some moms that maybe even their children have not been a great encouragement. And so I want us to be an encouragement, because it's a good time to encourage you. As a matter of fact, if a doctor were to prescribe something for a mom, I think it would be part self-worth, part self-esteem, and part human dignity in the form of a pill. And so I want us to do that today, because, you know, moms are great. I remember, I told you this before, but my mom and my grandmother really both were the first to really give me a great witness for God. In fact, I remember some of the first things that they told me, and they actually said this to me every day. God help you. God help you if you pick that up again. God help you if you break that. God help you if you touch that. I heard about God helping me from the time I was a little bitty guy, and I needed help. I needed lots of help as a little guy. My mother, I don't know what she got extra in heaven, but it had to be something for crazy little Stevie that she had to raise. And I laughed a little bit. I was just thinking about when my dad passed away. We were there in Arizona, and my mom was talking to me and my brother, and she said, I don't know what I'm going to do. Y'all need to gas my car up and then come back before I use up all the gas. And we said, why is that, Mom? And they said, well, your father always gassed my car. In our entire married life, I've never put gas in a car. And I thought, wow. So my brother and I looked at him and said, well, Mom, Donna and Jeannie will take you down and show you how to do that. I don't know how I missed that in parenting. I never was the one to do that. So I want us to really look at a mom in Scripture, and before I do that, I want to talk about the Jekyll and Hyde of being a mom. I don't know how moms make it. I mean, that's got to be the most difficult job in all of the world. All of a sudden, you're partnered up with God in this miracle, and He's using you to create life. And the only thing you get out of it is nausea, and you can't find your toes. And then all of a sudden, this child comes out, and now you're a mom. And this was a mom. This is a mother's look at being a mom. I thought it was pretty good. She said, I never really looked at my children. When I looked at their mouths, I saw dirt around it. When I looked at their nose, I saw it running. When I looked at their eyes, I saw them open when I wanted them to be closed. When I looked at their hair, it needed combing or cutting. I never really looked at their whole face without offering advice. For 20 years, I invited myself into their lives. I put sweaters on them when I was cold. I removed blankets when I was hot. I fed them when I was hungry. I put them to bed when I was tired. I put them on diets when I was fat. I carpooled them when I felt the distance was too far for me to walk. And then I told them they took up a lot of my time. And I never realized, as I dedicated my life to yellow wax buildup and ring around the collar, that cleanliness is not next to godliness. My children are. But isn't that a good representation of what it means to be a mom? You know, living with the oblivious father that anything's going on, and the mom has to be the one that recognizes that, you know, and they have to be strong. Usually the kid's wrapped around their leg, and they're dragging the kid, and the kid's dragging a gum machine he found somewhere. And I mean, you know, you're the ones that have to answer all the questions. And you know, I was at a restaurant the other day, and they had a table over there's a little about a 4-year-old. I've never heard a human being talk without breathing for so long. One thing after another, and the mom was just sort of flinching. You know, she's trying to eat lunch with him, and he's talking and eating, and he was just full of himself. And I made the mistake of engaging him in conversation. And I did about 30 seconds with him. I couldn't take it. I just looked at her and said, I'm so sorry. And she said, he didn't talk till he was 2, and he's not shut up since he started. I can relate to that. Our son Chad was like that. We didn't think he was ever going to talk. And then we thought he would never shut up. He just started going. And you know, guys, we're gifted. We're gifted at tuning it out. It just goes away in our head, right? The mom hears every word. Every single word. Poor mothers. Anyway, I want to take you to Psalm 31. It was written by a king, and this king wanted to write something about his mother, and this is what he came up with. Proverbs. Did I say Psalms?
Yeah.
Psalms 31 is wonderful too, but doesn't have anything to do with the mom. So go Proverbs instead. And when you get to Proverbs, you'll find that this wonderful king is writing about his mom. This is like the ultimate Mother's Day card. You know, when the child is grown up and he finally gets everything that his mom has done for him, and they wrote it down. And by the way, we had 4 kids in my family, and I was my mom's favorite. And everybody in my family knows it, and I was proud of it. Even my mother would say I was her favorite, but I should have been, because the other 3 are pretty mean people. You know, we all thought we were our mom's favorite, because our mom had such a great ability to make us all feel as though we were special in our own right. And so this young man probably thinks he's his mom's favorite, but if he has brothers and sisters, I guarantee you they feel just as good as he does about this mom. Look at what he says there in these first few verses. In verse 15, it says, Is that verse 15?
10.
10. So the eyes are going too. It says, who can find a virtuous and capable wife? She is more precious than rubies. Her husband can trust her, and she will greatly enrich his life. And she brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. And so this young man recognizes that part of being a great mom is this woman is an incredible wife. Part of understanding what motherhood is the fact that you become such a great wife to your husband as well. And one of the things that attracted me to Donna was looking at the rest of her family, like looking at her mother. I love my mother-in-law. I mean, she was awesome. And I think she preferred me over Donna. Once she got to know me, we were way better friends than her and Donna. Matter of fact, she used to scold Donna about how good she should be to me, and I'd stand behind her and just make faces at Donna. Because her mom just was so sweet and so wonderful and so much like this lady here. And so I've had the great privilege of not only having a great mom, but having a great mother-in-law. And all that meant. And so when you're picking out a wife, and that's what this young man is getting at, you want to pick out one that's better than rubies. One that not only is going to be a great wife, but going to be a great mom. There's no question in my mind that Donna was going to be an incredible mom. She had a little brother that was about 3 when we started dating. And she was basically raising that little guy. Everywhere we went, there was Jamie. Matter of fact, in every one of our wedding pictures, it looks like we had a little goof about 3 years earlier. He's in every one of them. He's hanging on to his sis Donna and loving on her. And really, the boy didn't like me until he was about 20. Because I took away his precious Donna, but I saw her mothering that little boy, and I knew then. I knew then she was going to be that kind of mom. And that kind of wife. And so this young man, talking about his mother, he's not ashamed to say, my mom is a great wife. My mom knows how to do that part of life. My mom has shown me what it looks like and what it is that I'm looking for in a wife, so that when I grow, I have not only what I need, but what I want in a wife. And so he is saying some wonderful things about his mom. Now, what he's saying to us is she's invaluable and trustworthy. If you're going to be a great mom, here's a tip. And you know, some of you are thinking, man, my mom and days are about over. You know, they're about done. They never end. They really don't. Because once you're a mom, then you get to be a grandmom or a nana or whatever it is you want to be called. And then after that, you get to be a great one of those. So you got plenty of time to mom. I got a friend who says, you know, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Next best time is right now. So these are things that if they hadn't been a part of your life, you can institute them instantly and recognize that God wants this out of your life in terms of being a mom. He wants you to be an invaluable and trustworthy person. When I think back to invaluable and trustworthy people, there was nobody more invaluable or trustworthy than my mom. You could count on her. She was always going to be there. And I knew that. Actually, the future of our nation belongs to moms who are invaluable and trustworthy. Our nation is slipping. Families are dying. Bad things are happening. And certainly there's an earthquake in the home of fatherless homes. But if it isn't for mothers, our nation is about to crush, to die. And so it's more important now to be a mom. It's more important now to make sure that the young girls are embracing the opportunity to participate with God, to work on a miracle, to be a mom. To be a mom. To be the kind of mother that they need to be for our nation and for their children and for God. You know, the most difficult task I think, in the world is to be a single parent. Hard. Miserable work, because that's a two-person job. When you don't have anybody on the backup, you don't have anybody to take care of things. It's all on you. It can be a tedious, unforgiving kind of job. And so we need mothers that have great character and are strong, like this woman was. Then it goes on in Scripture in verses 13 and 14. It says, she's industrious and considerate. And look at verses 13 and 14. It says, she finds wool and flax and busily spins it. She is like a merchant's ship, bringing her food from far off. The idea is that she is always working, always thinking about what needs to happen, always planning for what the family is going to be going through, always going afar for the food. I remember, one of the things I do remember about my mom is that she just wasn't a good cook. It just wasn't her thing. She made some Chinese thing called okasu. I thought that was unedible. I don't know how my dad gutted that down, but he did. I'd pour so much ketchup on that, and yet my mom gave it every effort. I remember she made a house cake one time for me on my birthday, and by the time it came out of the oven, it was a brick. I mean, you could have done a starter home with that thing. That just wasn't so. I can relate to my mom bringing food from afar. We were always happy when my mom brought food from afar. Like the first ever In-N-Out hamburger was in my neighborhood, so she brought food from afar on her way home. But I can relate to the business part. My mom always worked. She always worked in a dress shop with her girlfriend, and she always was styling. She always looked really pretty in her clothes, and she was always in that shop. And by the way, they had to ban me from the shop. We used to go down there and check on my mom. I had this habit. I don't know how old I was. I think I was real little, 3 or 4. But if you were a woman and I saw you from the backside, I would run straight at you, and I would bury my face in your hind end and hang on. I don't know why I did that. My parents never could figure it out. They just knew that, when I'd be in the shop, all havoc would break loose, because I'd see some poor woman and I'd bury my face and hang on for dear life. It was like a ride for me. But it was just something a little boy does, innocent. I stopped at 18. I'll never forget. My mom always was, she didn't want me doing that, but at the same time, she thought it was funny. And the ladies never did, but my mom did. And I think of my mom when I see that this woman was industrious. She liked to get out and get among the merchants and go through all the fabrics and find what it was that she was going to create and what she was going to have. And that reminds me of my mom. Then she's organized, smart, and strong. She gets up before dawn and prepares breakfast for her household, and plans the day's work for her servant girls. And she goes and inspects a field and buys it. With her earnings, she plants a vineyard, and she is energetic and she is strong and she's a hard worker. One of the things about moms is they're amazingly strong. The strength of a woman is far greater than the strength of a man. Now, maybe not the physical strength, but the mental strength. They make great leaders. As a matter of fact, the most amazing nonprofits in America today weren't started by men, they were started by women. Women who had something happen in their life that probably would have crushed anybody else. But they took whatever it was and they turned it into a victory for everyone else because they were strong, they were smart, they were hard workers. I think about MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. You know, drunk drivers just used to get away with murder, literally. And today, there's one of the largest, most productive nonprofits in America is MAD. Started by women, still run by women. And if you're a drunk driver and you get a ticket for drunk driving, you're going to end up at the footsteps of MAD. And they're going to teach you about how you should never do that again. It's one of the most productive nonprofits. All started by moms. Moms who had a tragedy. Moms who had a son or a daughter who died at the hands of a drunk driver. And instead of cursing the darkness, they light a match. They began a large nonprofit that now does wonderful, great things. I also thought about Susan G. Komen. Sisters. One of them dies of breast cancer. And the others, who are moms, step up and begin a nonprofit. And do you know the money that they have put into cancer research has changed the landscape of America today. There are women alive today because of Susan G. Komen, because some moms thought that's not good. That can't happen. And you can look up nonprofit after nonprofit. You can look up nonprofits about children who have cancer. You can look up who's at the forefront, who's leading out in the research for children's cancer, and for families who have to stay near hospitals, and who's taking care of those families. It's always the moms, because the moms are strong and smart, and they won't let life crush them, because they're a mom. Education. You can just go down the list. Childhood diseases, whatever you know about that is an awful thing that could happen to a family, there's a mom at the forefront of making that better for other families who go through that. And we need to recognize moms for that. Then this mom is unselfish. She's caring for others. It says she extends a helping hand to the poor and opens her arms to the needy. You know, our culture isn't like this anymore. But when I was growing up and I was living on Korak, the street I lived on, there were moms on that street. And every one of them mothered me and all the other kids. Whatever mom was home, she was in charge. And that, you know, and the men that lived on Korak, you know, they'd see us all out there doing something. A bunch of kids getting in trouble, doing whatever kids do. And the men would just drive by and not say a thing. But a mom would drive by, roll the window down, pound on the side of her car and say, "You renegades, get back to your house. I'm going to check on you in about 5 minutes." And we went home because we were told to go home. I remember one time we had this wonderful idea. We were going to dig a hole. And in our neighborhood, the garage was in the back, and there was an alley, and you couldn't see what was going on the other side of the garage. And so we had this idea to dig a hole to burrow down and then underneath the alley. And we were going to go from Larry Norton's house over to the Miller's house. And we got that thing about 3/4 of the way done. It was very nice. On a hot day, you get down in there, light a candle, and lay there in the cool and hear the cars go boom, 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 boom. We came home one day, and they were still trying to get the trash truck out of the hole. That trash truck, as soon as it hit that hole, it nosed in and crushed the street, and it was back end was hanging up, and they were out there trying to figure out how they were ever going to get that thing out of the hole. And I remember we got home, Mrs. Norton was about that big around. A little German woman she had been in a concentration camp, thick glasses that thick. And she just lined us up and pounded on us, seemed like for hours. Yelling at us, some in German, some in English. But we kind of knew what she meant, no matter what language she was in. And you know, it was a wonderful thing to know you're that loved. She's a great lady. Great lady that had our interest at heart and understood that. And it was always a mom. Every time we got in trouble, it was a mom. Some mom in the neighborhood that made sure that the trouble was cared for because they were there. And we knew where they were. And we could count on them. One of the great joys in my life, I remember playing on a ball team, and it was the Compton Comets, and it was from Compton, California, which is, you know, a neighborhood. It's a rough neighborhood, and I would go down there and pick up one of my buddies that was on the team. And his mother and grandmother decided that I was their boy. I was their son. He didn't want his mom yelling at him in the baseball game, so she thought she would yell for me at the baseball game. And so every time I was playing, she would hoop and holler. I'd get on deck, and this beautiful black woman would stand up and she'd say, "Oh, my baby is coming to the plate." And she'd start talking to the other pitcher. And she would say, "You're in trouble now because my baby's coming up. You no way you get my baby out." And she'd scream and yell at the top of her lungs. And his grandmother would sit there and go, "Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir." And so the first pitch I always knew was going to be right here. But what a great lady. I remember going down there, and that entire neighborhood of children would be at her house. And she'd be momming all those kids, taking care of them, making sure they had somewhere safe to be. When their moms were out working, when their homes were shattered, she was always, there were always babies. And she'd say, "Come on, babies, get my babies together." And she'd get them together, feed them all. Magnificent woman. And when I think about handling the poor, I can't help but think about Miss Hendricks and her love and the love that she showed, and how she did that. I have no idea. No idea where the money came from, how she was able to do that, but she made sure whatever she had, those children had. That's what moms do. Moms are those kind of neighbors. The next thing it says, her husband is well known at the city gates where he sits with the other civic leaders. She makes belted linen garments and sashes to sell to the merchants. You see, here's the husband. He's hanging out at the city gate. Now, how does he have all the time to hang out at the city gate? Because he's married to a great woman. And she's doing all the business. She's making all the sales. So he's just hanging around with the boys, talking about what a great wife he has, because he has a great wife. He has a woman that plans ahead. This woman knew how to plan ahead. She was not afraid of what was about to come. She knew. In verses 21 through 24, it says, she has no fear of winter, for her household, for everyone has warm clothes, and she makes her own bedspreads, and she dresses in fine linen and purple. See, a mom plans ahead. A mom knows what season's coming up and what kind of clothes the children are going to need. Dads don't seem to know that. But moms are planning ahead. They're planning ahead for what's going to happen next. They're involved in the child's life, and whatever the child needs, they're going to find a way to produce it. They're going to pull it together. They're constantly thinking about what is the family going to need. I was thinking about this the other day when I was thinking about this. I thought about Ryan, our youngest son. He got the lead in the 4th grade play. He was Frosty the Snowman. And Donna went into mom mode. I mean, he had the best costume. She went out, bought stuff, made this costume. I mean, he looked like a snowman. I mean, everything about it. And of course, because he had the lead, he had the main song. So Donna made sure that I took all of the sound equipment that school did not have. And I loaded in sound equipment. I mean, speakers and microphones. It was a production. And here's this boy whose mom is taking care of him. And I remember They got ready, and they were going to do it first for the first through third graders. And so all these little kids are in there, and Ryan gets up, and they do the piano intro for him, and he's standing there with that microphone, and he looks around, and he goes, "I'm not doing this," drops the microphone, and runs off the stage. And here's a panicked mom, another panicked mom who's the teacher, and he sequestered himself in the boys' bathroom. and so I remember going in there, and he's going, "I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You can't make me do it." I said, "I'm not here to make you do it. I'm not here. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it." And he's, "Tell Mom I'm sorry, but I'm not." And no, don't worry about it. You can't do it. I said, "But you know what? You know what you're going to be when you get to junior high?" "What?" I said, "You're going to be that kid who couldn't do Frosty Snowman in the 4th grade. You won't be known for that. When you get to high school, you're going to be that quitter. You won't play on a ball team, and they're going to say, 'No, man, he couldn't even do Frosty Snowman. We don't want him on the team.'" He goes, "Give me a second. Come on, we'll be right out." And he did great once he got into it, because he knew that's what his mom was hoping for, that he would come through, that he would show himself to be what she knew he could be. When I think about moms, I think about the fact that they have strength and dignity, because that's what this woman had. It says that to have strength, when you look up the word strength, it says the power over the changes of temporal circumstances which easily shatter and bring ruin to a household. That's the kind of strength a mom has, to fight against that. To fight against the power over the changes of temporal circumstances which easily shatter and bring ruin to a household. See, a mom knows how to be strong against that. She also has the dignity, and the word dignity means elevation above that which is low, little, common. One who has a high aim, a fearless confidence for tomorrow. You realize it doesn't matter how sorry you are as a son or a daughter, you know who's still in your camp? It's your mom. It doesn't matter what you do, your mom is always going to be there. Especially this kind of mom. This kind of mom may not even understand what you're doing, may not even approve of what you're doing, but she's going to love you no matter what. I remember I was talking to a single mom one time, and she had as worthless of a son as anybody could have ever had. And she was asking me, "What can I do?" And I remember telling her, "This is an easy one." I said, "Stop paying for that child's apartment, and he will have to get a job." And she said, "But if I don't pay for his apartment, he'll have to live in his truck." And I caringly said, "So?" I said, "How does he have a truck?" She said, "Well, I'm buying his truck." And I said, "Well, stop paying for the truck." And she said, "Well, if I don't pay for his apartment and I don't pay for his truck, he'll sleep under the bridge." And I, again, caringly said, "Yeah, that'd be good. The weather's kind of nice right now, and that may be the only place where God is waiting for him. God may be under that bridge wondering when he's going to get there." And I remember looking at her and I said, "Can't do it, can you?" She shook her head. She said, "Not to my baby. No matter what he's done, no matter who he is, I can't." I said, "What can you do?" And she said, "I can't stop paying for the apartment. I can't let him sleep in his truck." And you know, that kid turned around. He turned around because he had a mom that was amazing. That mom loved that boy. Loved him really back into the kingdom. Made sure that good things were going to happen for him, even if he didn't know how to make them happen. That's what a mom's like. Mothers are teachers. says when she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instruction with kindness. You know, when you're a dad and the children get over, you just kind of become their friend, kind of become their buddy. But no longer do you give instructions, really. You just sort of watch them, and you might say something like, well, did you think about maybe not doing that way? But for the most part, your job is done as a teacher, and as a man, you know that. That's something a woman is never, ever done with. At 83, 84 years old, if I was near my mother, she was going to do that before I got up. She would have made sure that everything was straight and right and where it was supposed to be. Always teaching, always giving wisdom, always having some input for whatever it is you were going through. Many of the time, most of the time, the kind of empathetic input you need from a mom. And so we understand that God made moms completely different than He did any other person. Certainly different than men. When I was talking to a couple of young guys the other day, and when I say young guys, they were like in their 40s, and their mom was giving them a little extra instruction about some stuff. And they were saying, she just frustrates us. We just want to say, shut up, Mom. And I said, why? I said, let's break down her instruction. And we kind of went through her instruction, and I said, is that good advice or bad? Well, no, that's good. Is that smart or no? Yeah, it really is. And they fumbled and stumbled around, and I said, well, for you to believe that your mom is going to stop being instructional is laughable. Moms are always going to be instructional. Right? God made them helpers. They're going to help. They're going to help you when you don't want help, when you don't need help. You're going to get help. You're going to get advice. And it's going to be wise wisdom. And you ought to listen. You ought to listen. Sometimes it's not all that wise. I remember when we first had Chad, and we went over to Sunday dinner, and we walked in with the baby, and it was immediately taken away. It was the first great-grandchild, and they grabbed it. Granny and her aunt and her mom, and they took the baby away, and they put it down in the crib, and they started messing with the baby, and they started criticizing, because it had some stuff on its head, and you know, it had a little bit of rash, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and they were criticizing. And I remember I went over to Donna and I said, honey, go get in the car. And she said, well, what are you talking about? I said, get in the car. And I walked over and I separated these three moms. And I picked up the baby and I started to leave, and they go, where are you going? I said, I'm going to take this baby home and give it to this mother, and we're going to see how long it survives. You know, they never brought that up again. When we came next Sunday, they were honorable, Donna, and what she was doing. The idea is that a mom is uniquely chosen by God to be your mom. Who you got as a mom is who God intended for you to have. Just like that little song said, I'm sending you down to somebody. So I've got some things that stand out for moms. Here they are. Moms are the kind of people that pay time and attention. You don't always get that from a dad, but from a mom you always get time and attention. She's always interested. And moms record memories. There's some things that your mom remembers about you when you were little and as you were growing, and now that here you are as an adult. There's stuff your mom remembers you just pray that she would forget. But she's going to remember it all. Because God has put something in her, and it keeps her with that beautiful memory, and she'll talk to you about that memory, and she'll bring it up over and over again and bless you with that memory or curse you with it. I remember watching my two little sisters. They were 3 and 5, and I wanted to go visit with this girl, and so I had this good idea. my good idea was to take them to the movies and dump them in the movies for a double feature. And then I could go visit with that girl for about 3 or 4 hours. And they were 3 and 5. So I loaded them up with popcorn and juju beads and stuck them in the theater, and they saw Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I said, you'll like this one, it's like a cartoon. And the other one was Paper Lion, which was a story about football players. And you know, the funny thing about that was they never squealed on me. They pondered that in their hearts and never told Mom what I had done. Years later, when we're all grown up at Thanksgiving, Shelley decides to tell that story. And when they tell what theater it is, now theater now is in the hood. Back then it wasn't in the hood. It was okay little theater. But they start talking about, and my mom kept saying, he left you? And what did you go do? And she was, and we were laughing about it. It was like it had just happened. My mom reached over and smacked me in the back of the head. What are you thinking? I said, Mom, that's 30 years ago. You know, but the idea is that moms have great memories. They're not going to forget stuff. They have it. Then a mom is the person that knows how to place individual value on a child. You know, children don't come out the same, do they? If you've had more than one, you figured that out. You wonder how they can be so different sometimes. But it is a mom who can focus in on the individual value of each child and recognize their strengths, recognize their weaknesses, recognize how to discipline one and how to discipline the other. It is a mom that carries that kind of wisdom. It's also a mom that teaches laughter. And I hope you're a mom who taught laughter in the home. You know, Dad can bring laughter into the home, but he can't teach it. Only a mom can teach it. Only a mom can teach laughter. When she gets thrown into the pool, only a mom can come up smiling. And when a mom teaches laughter in a home, it is a wonderful and great and tremendous gift. Just a gift to be able to laugh at life, to be able to laugh with you as a little one. I remember I could always make my mom laugh. There was never a time that I couldn't make her smile. And I remember my grandmother was the same way. There was always a grin, there was always laughter, it was always close by. And moms that are great do that. And then finally, it is a mom that knows how to release a child to God. As much as they want to hang on. It is the mom that understands that I have been given this child as a gift, and I have been made the steward of it, and now I have to give that child back to God. The mom is the one that recognizes that child doesn't belong to her. She is just participating with a holy God who wants the child back. Rudyard Kipling wrote this. He said, if I were hanged on the highest hill, I know whose love would follow me still. Mother of mine, mother of mine. If I were drowned in the deepest sea, I know whose tears would come down to me. Mother of mine, mother of mine. If I were damned of body and soul, I know whose prayers would make me whole. Mother of mine, mother of mine. Father, I thank you for a biblical look at what it means to be a mom. And I thank you for the moms in this room for the job they have done with your creation. I thank you for their lives. I pray, God, they feel a sense of encouragement on this day that we have charmed. Father, the last few words of that proverb is it says that her children rise up and call her blessed. May our children do that because we follow you in Jesus'